Play It Today, Lesson 16. So far in the course, you've met only one type of musical scale, the major scale. But in this lesson, we're going to begin by looking at another quite different sort of scale. If you start at middle C and play every white and black key from there up to the C an octave above it, you've played what's called a chromatic scale. Every step up or down a chromatic scale is one semitone. So you can begin the scale anywhere on the keyboard, from C sharp to C sharp, for example, or from D to D. On the first page of your Lesson 16 booklet, page 181, you'll find 3 exercises containing a chromatic scale. As you can see, if you look closely at exercises 167 and 168, the fingering for this kind of scale is rather different from anything you've met before. But that doesn't mean to say it's difficult. Quite simply, you use your thumb to play the white keys and your third finger to play the black keys. Where 2 white keys fall next to one another, with no black key in between, you play the first with your thumb, the second with your second finger, and then carry on as before. And at the top of the scale, as in bars 6 and 7 of exercise 167, you use your other 2 fingers to make the turn, for convenience sake. Let's listen to exercise 167 now. It's a chromatic scale over 2 octaves, played with the right hand. Exercise 168 is a chromatic scale for the left hand. Exercise 169 consists of parts of a chromatic scale rather than running straight up and down the keyboard. And this in turn calls for a slightly different fingering. Between bars 1 and 2, for example, the 4th and 5th fingers come in again to make the turn from up to down. Practice the different sections individually several times before stringing them together. And by the way, where there are thumb under passages, try to make sure you play them smoothly without any bumps. Here's the whole exercise played through for you now. September, our first practice piece, contains some fragments of chromatic scale in the right-hand part. To be more precise, in bars 17 to 19, 21 to 23, 25 to 27, and 29 to 31. These passages need to be played really smoothly. There are lots of accidentals, sharps, flats, and naturals, elsewhere in the piece too. So start by practicing both hands separately until you're completely familiar with the notes. Here's September played through for you. And by the way, it's for solo piano, so you won't hear any accompaniment. By now, you're used to playing two parts on the keyboard at the same time, one with your left hand, one with your right. But in keyboard music, you'll sometimes find two parts written for one hand, and playing these is a bit trickier. Page 184 of your booklet shows 4 examples of two-part writing for one hand, so study them closely. In example A, the first part, shown in column 1, has a rest on the first beat, then plays an E on the second beat, and a G on the third. It sounds like this. Meanwhile, the second part, shown in column 2, plays a C for 3 full beats. Now look at the third column, which shows the two parts combined. The first thing you'll notice is that the tails of the notes in the first part point upwards, while those in the second part point downwards. This is simply to help you distinguish easily between the two. What happens in practice is that your thumb plays the C on the first beat and holds it, while your third finger plays E on the second beat, and your fifth finger plays G on the third beat. Like this. Example B is a bit more complicated. Listen to the first part. And now the second part. Played together, they sound like this. Here's the first part of example C. And the second. And now together. The first part of example D, which has 2 minims, sounds like this. The second part consists of a crotchet, a minim, and another crotchet. Together, they sound like this. Try playing through these examples yourself a few times before moving on to the next part of the lesson. The main difficulty of playing two parts together with one hand is that your fingers have to move completely independently of one another. For example, when one finger holds a note for several beats, the others often have to play several different notes in a variety of rhythms and patterns. Achieving this independence of movement is one of the trickier aspects of learning to play keyboards, and it takes a lot of practice to perfect. But as you'll see in later lessons, it's an invaluable technique, so keep persevering. The exercises on page 185 are designed specifically to help you practice two-part playing. Look at the music, and you can see that each of them asks you to hold single long notes while playing other shorter notes with the same hand. Make sure that you hold the longer notes for the correct length of time. Otherwise, the point of the exercises will be lost. You can play exercise 170 either with the right or the left hand. The right hand fingering is written above the music and the left hand fingering below. You'll probably find it easier to play the left hand an octave lower than it's written. When you play with the right hand, your thumb holds down the semibreve throughout each bar. With the left hand, your fifth finger does the same job. Here's exercise 170 played through. Exercise 171 can also be played with either hand, but this time the fingering is reversed. The semibreves are held by the fifth finger in the right hand and by the thumb in the left hand. Exercise 172 is for the right hand only. In this exercise, the fingering of the held notes changes, with just your thumb playing in between. Exercise 173 is very like number 172, but reversed, so that the fifth finger plays the quavers instead of the thumb. Finally, two exercises for the left hand. First, exercise 174. And now, exercise 175. Exercise 176 will give you more practice at playing two-part writing for one hand, this time in a proper piece of music rather than just technical exercises. The held notes, all minims, provide the tune, while the quavers add a sort of rhythmic accompaniment. Here's the exercise played through. The new chords for this lesson are on page 188. The first, E-flat, consists of B-flat, the root note E-flat, and G. Before playing this chord, you might like to have a look back at page 108 of your Lesson 9 booklet, which shows the proper technique for striking a black key with your thumb. Remember, don't twist your hand out of its normal playing position. Simply move it in slightly towards the back of the keyboard, and your thumb will be able to reach the E-flat without difficulty. Here's the E-flat chord, played with the right hand. And with the left. Now the chord of B-flat 7. B-flat, F and A-flat. Played with the right hand and with the left. The B major chord is made up of D sharp, F sharp and the root note B. Here it is with the right hand and again with the left. The next chord is E7 without the root note, which, as you'll remember, can sometimes happen. The notes are D, G sharp and B. Here it is with the right hand and the left. F sharp major is the first chord you'll have played on the black keys alone. C sharp, F sharp and A sharp. Here it is with the right hand and with the left hand. Finally, the F sharp minor chord, consisting of C sharp, F sharp and A. First the right hand, and now the left. Exercise 177 is a sequence of chords for the left hand. E-flat, C minor, F minor, B-flat 7 and E-flat again. At the top of the following page, you can see a two-part rhythmic variation on the exercise, written using rhythmic notation. You won't hear this on the cassette. We've left it up to you how you interpret it. But, to help you, we've written out the most likely interpretation in full below it. See how you get on. Exercise 178 is a chord sequence for the right hand. A, F sharp minor, B minor, E7 without the root note, and back to A again. As before, we'll leave you to work out the rhythmic variation for yourself, using the notation provided. And once again, there's an example below to help you. Exercise 179 is another sequence of chords for the left hand. A, F sharp, B, E7 without the root note, and A again. This time, try interpreting the rhythmic variation with two hands as well as with your left only. Our piece with backing group for this lesson is called Beethoven 2000. As you can hear, it takes the tune from Beethoven's Romance for Violin and combines it with some rather unexpected instrumental sounds. You'll have noticed that the keyboard part for Beethoven 2000 starts on the last beat of a bar with a single crotchet. If the first bar had been complete, this crotchet would have been on the fourth beat. So, when you hear the piece again, wait for the 3 beats of the metronome before you come in on the fourth, with the G below middle C. Notice too that from bars 33 to 41, the keyboard takes over the accompaniment while the tune is taken up by the flute. This section is in F major with a B-flat key signature. Now here's Beethoven 2000 again with the backing only. To end this lesson, you'll find 6 more exercises on page 192, designed to help you develop strong, independent fingers. We won't be playing any of these exercises on the tape. Just take them at your own speed, repeating each section as often as you want before moving on to the next. Always make sure you hold the sustained notes in each bar for their correct length, while your other fingers play the quavers. And try to practice each of the exercises for a few minutes each day. It's the surest way to develop a really solid keyboard technique.